During the Second World War, there were many guards of the concentration camps who committed scores of evil crimes and atrocities. Some of these guards were very senior, and they were later brought to trial for their actions. Usually war criminals at the end of the war were hanged if they were found guilty, or they faced significant prison sentences at the hands of the authorities who were deemed the victors of the conflict. But inside of Leipzig Prison in 1964, there was a senior concentration camp official who was actually guillotined, and he had lived out in East Germany for some time, under the noses of the people who were looking for him. But what happened to Roland Pur, and why was he sentenced to death? To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. On the 21st of January 1914, Roland Pur was born inside what was at the time Austrian-Hungarian territory. He in 1936 joined the Sudetenland German Party, but he then joined up to the Czechoslovakian armed forces and the military. But at the time Hitler was seeking to conquer lands, and he would be given part of the Czech region in the form of the Sudetenland during the Munich Conference. But seeing the growing influence of the Nazis, Roland Pur joined the Nazi Party, and he then joined the SS, being assigned to the Death Heads unit, and he would then be sent to go and work inside of Sachsenhausen Concentration Camp. Whilst at Sachsenhausen, Pur demonstrated immense brutality and evil, and he was involved in executions by gunshot of Soviet prisoners of war who were dispatched at the camp's execution sites. He was known for personally shooting up to 40 prisoners, and he also beat many of them to death with his bare hands. He slaughtered an Austrian prosecutor who had been sent there, and this man had been ordered to the camp for trying to bring cases against the SS for murdering the Austrian Chancellor. Pur and other SS men battered the man to death, and one witness later claimed that, "I'd never seen anything like it. His face was gone, just a piece of completely undefined meat, full of blood, cuts, the eyes completely swollen up." Roland Pur was involved in further executions of prisoners who were working as part of the construction groups close to Dusseldorf, but he was then sent to go and become the commandant of Lager Sylt, the concentration camp which was established on Alderney, the Channel Islands. It was here where around 400 prisoners were killed, and the camp was known for its ruthless guard staff. At the end of the Second World War, Roland Pur tried to hide out wherever he could to evade capture and the Allied authorities. He especially feared the Soviets, who he believed would at least send him to the gulags, but he began a new life inside the town of Schönhausen under a false identity. He managed to live like this for 18 years, until in June 1963 his cover was blown, and the East German authorities arrived at his doorstep and then took him as a prisoner. Roland Pur was then brought to trial, and he was accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity. He was found guilty of these charges on the 16th of December 1963, and despite the fact the war had ended over 18 years ago, Pur was sentenced to death. He tried to appeal, but this was of no use, and he was forced to sit on death row inside of Leipzig Prison for around 4 months. Inside the execution chamber of the prison, the guillotine sat, and the Germans had during World War II utilised this device to take the heads off thousands of people who had been condemned by the Nazi People's Court. These people had been sentenced to death for treason and other offences against the Nazi state, but Roland Pur was on the 15th of April 1964 informed by the East German prison guards that his time had come to an end, and he was walked into the execution chamber and his identity was confirmed. Executioners using the guillotine became so efficient inside of Germany that someone's head could be taken off within seconds of them entering the chamber. Roland Pur was walked over to the guillotine, and he was then strapped to the tilting board, and he was secured under the blade of the all-metal device. The executioner then released the blade, taking his head clean off. His remains were then cremated, and these were interred in an unmarked site. Roland Pur was one of many brutal SS concentration camp guards who were, years after the Second World War, given the ultimate punishment for their crimes in the decades before. He was subjected to execution on the guillotine and was given a ruthless death inside of Leipzig Prison as reprisal for his actions during World War II. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.